Today I'm presenting you the result of a common study between me and Professor Federica Vacca, who is associate professor here in Politecnico di Milano at the design department. And we investigated how social cultural values can nurture sustainability in the fashion sector. As I was saying, both me and Professor Vacca, we are a member of the Fashion in Process Research Lab, that is a multidisciplinary research collective at the Design Department of Politecnico di Milano that focus on innovation for culture-intensive industry, bridging technologies and humanities through a design-driven approach. We developed research, applied project and knowledge transfer activity to support and promote the sustainable development of fashion and culture and creative industry. This morning, I will present a paper that is the result of a study that investigates how an emphasis on authenticity, respect for time, craftsmanship, and ecology can foster a positive change driven by the market and the consumer. Such change is allowing the affirmation of different sustainability principles and practice in the fashion sector, and as companies do not work only on minimizing negative impact, but also on maximizing their positive impact, allowing individuals, communities, and economic system to flourish. To do so, we started from a very simple question, that is, how can social culture values nurture sustainability in the fashion sector? First thing, we analyze the fashion sector. Fashion has one of the design domain is at the perfect intersection of culture, consumption, and change, the calling culture and transformation to anchor itself local culture and better connect with future possibility. It becomes a means to shape contemporary culture, relying on its capability to read and balance the dynamics between individual and society. It is a fundamental means of balancing, and it lets people position the time and place they exist, linking their social relation with the world. Specifically, we address how fashion design practices can shape cultural developments, their driving forces, and pattern of change. In this way, we can think possible new culture scenarios intrinsic to new future senses to guide through a socio-cultural change in product and services. In this context, fashion can be an agent of change and operating across different scales from bespoke to mass production, creating occupation within communities and remote offices, which are strictly linked with the implication of 20th century living. In particular, the scale in which the sector operates worldwide and the pattern of offshoring and outsourcing that have developed due to the globalization deeply engage the sector in undergoing process of sustainability to lessen the planetary impact. Such processes aim to respond with aspects like resilience, collaboration, knowledge, and skills to the sector's sustainability challenges, ranging to soil and water exploitation, fractured economy, to biodiversity loss. The problem that we discovered is that till now, the challenge that the fashion system is addressing are mainly referred to an ecological and economical perspective. In fact, the green brain strategies are now leveraging connection to the consumer, brand, and environment and economic sustainability. The presented paper aims to emphasize the other two pillars of sustainability, society and culture. In fact, our study moved from a three-parties vision, that is the one that is common in fashion to nowadays, that is a three spheres of influence, environment, economy, and society, decoupling society from culture and working in a framework that is based on four pillars. In this context, we adopt a sociocultural perspective that want to have an original view on the context of analysis. According to this, we established this, our social cultural perspective. That means addressing challenge of globalization and verification of production activities. This can be done. What emerged from our study is that can be done opposing model characterized by particularism and searching for authenticity to the capitalistic system. Such models today are enabled by the recovery and enhancement of unique traditions and artisanal knowledge, which restore the proper notion of time against the speed of globalization. And from this perspective, we discovered that the appreciation of traditional local practices and promotion of the cultural capital of a specific social community can be fostered and can support a sustainable transformation. This makes it possible to work with different understanding of global and local relations that contribute to creating strategic action for inspiring and enabling local system production and cultural aptitudes. Specifically, the approaches that emerge support practices of adaptation of new fashion contexts and business model that cultivate this traditional knowledge without losing its authenticity, working for sustainability. This means questioning the status quo by finding new ways of working that ensure a human scale, ecological, social, and cultural balance. Methodologically, we started collecting knowledge from the reservoir produced by our research lab, working on specific database that were produced by a research project and on-field project that me and my co-authors work in, and addressing a very specific previous publication that was published by my co-author, that was adopted as point of reference for the development of the framework, as it shares a part of the study pool with specific reference to the focus on the impact of the socio-cultural dimension on sustainability. From an operational point of view, the methodology follows three iterative phases that support us in building the knowledge. An initial desk research on current practice in the fashion industry that allow us to map 72 companies in 20 European nations. The company was an heterogeneous pool that vary from NGOs to apparel and shoes or textiles company. After we map the companies, we select 8 case studies for a further in-depth qualitative research that was the combination of interview, long distance and in-person interviews, and then the processing and the outlining of the direction that we identified. From the operational perspective, the work identified 2 macro themes in approaching sustainability through the socio-cultural perspective. These are strategies that are developed to maintain traditional economic activity and work culture while building new direction in understanding the need to maintain the craft and knowledge the product of this company relying upon. This become a means to train young people for the longevity of craftsmanship, educate community, or enable formal conversation between companies, communities, and artisans on specific know-how, or teach a specific manual art to positively impact specific territories of group of people. These strategies move on a very common topic that is the action of training, but present different direction in how company put this action, this training action into practice. And these different path, the direction are exactly the path that resulted in our study. The first path we identify is about preserving the distinctness and uniqueness of the product service process. The second one is about capitalizing the artisanal knowledge. And the third one is about rehabilitating values through the material culture. I will now show briefly to you the different direction that we highlighted. The first one, as I was saying, is preserving the distinctness and uniqueness of the product service processes. This can happen mainly in two ways. Trying to in young generation to preserve specific craft knowledge that the products of the company rely on, or trying to innovate system and products as a kind of social reinstatement with the involvement of academies. The first part, trying to preserve specific craft knowledge to their products rely on, engage company in specific tactics to safeguard know-how and tradition, how enhancing the formation of a new generation on the specific traditional craft skills. An example is the video that I'm showing you is the academy that Brunello Cucinelli, that is one of the most important luxury brand in Italy, established in the area of Solomeo, that is the regional area where the company operates, to recover infrastructure and support local artisans in enhancing their know-how, in preserving the knowledge and the tradition that are this very same tradition on which the products, the high-quality products of the brands rely on. Specifically, the academy support new young talents in develop their skills, their knowledge, their attitudes toward the work of traditional craft. The second path within this direction is training to innovate system and products involving academies. A perfect example of this is the case of Officina Borbonese. Borbonese is a well-known Italian brand that works in the bags sector, and 4 years ago, they started partnership with its several academies. Here I am presenting as a case study the partnership between Bourbonnais and Parson Paris Fashion School that engage students in cherished craft tradition, a small community with responsible project. Bourbonnais asked students to reimagine the brand product through the lens of socio-cultural sustainability, through the perspectives of the artisan the students will collaborate with. In this specific case, the project involved Bourbonnais with specific craftsmen of the Sardinia region that have an exchange with students about specific way of working with carpets, and train students in understanding how these specific crafts could be translated into the fashion system. The second direction, the second path that was highlighted by the research is about capitalizing on artisans' knowledge. This is the case in which company, through a project approach, enhance artisan communities that hold a very specific cultural heritage, while at the same time enhancing also the human capital that is involved, the artisan, the people that are involved in this project. An example of this exchange and transfer of knowledge and techniques is the collaboration between the Roman brand Stella Gen with the different Italian communities. This is called Laboratorio delle Nazioni, Nation Labs, and is a project that aims to have a cultural and a knowledge exchange between Stella Jane and her team and the artisan of specific South American and Asian regional area to enhance the human capital of this specific artisan. The brand work with as pair with this artisan to develop new collection. This is a win-win partnership because the brand learn and is trained with new specific techniques that enrich their material and immaterial products, and the artisans are empowered because they build their own business model, their own capitalize their own knowledge to be able to develop, to maximize the value of their work. The third path that is identified in this study is about empowering communities through craft education. This is a very specific path that is more related to the social aspect than the cultural one. This is a way to rehabilitating specific communities through the case that I'm presenting to you this morning is the partnership between Ermenegildo Zegna, that is a luxury brand, Italian-based brand, and San Patrignano. San Patrignano is a rehabilitation community that work with addicted young people, and the idea is to support them through the training action to have both rehabilitating and empowering process through the training in this specific knowledge and techniques. It was a very successful partnership. In fact, Zegna decided to support creating a lab within the facility of the rehabilitation center, and also to ask to the young people who work in this lab and that learn the techniques that the métier d'art that of Zegna teach them to realize the last collection that Ermenegildo Zegna presented during the Milano Fashion Week. All the garments were produced inside this lab. This is a way in which disadvantaged community and disadvantaged part of society can be empowered through the knowledge transfer and training to learn new skills and techniques that are related to specific fashion communities. The three cases that I'm presented to you present different strategies that fashion companies are supporting in a socio-cultural perspective. The different approaches that I discuss are the interpretation of a very same goal, that is promoting cultural heritage as an engine of sustainable development, how focusing on what happened when fashion become a tool for support this kind of positive transformation. Each initiative that I've presented to you is the result of building a cultural bridge between fashion and the artisan of particular country that this specific company is collaborating with. This collaboration brought him to train new generation and strategically invest in preserving the know-how of the craftsmen of the workforce of the specific brand and the intrinsic value of specific products that are the result of these skills, and also enabling the community involved in creating their own economic autonomy in preserving their knowledge, skill, and tradition. At the very general perspective, we can apply to this analysis, to the codification of the different paths that both companies and communities are working on in this moment, is understanding how this allows knowledge to flourish, but also artisan, disadvantaged community to affirm their own place in this moment, in this sector, in the global market context, creating and allowing the fashion system to be an agent of positive and sustainable change. Thank you. This was my conclusion.